All right. Welcome to episode number 15 of the Red Plates podcast. Here we are accompanied by Mally. Malhar Patel is the full name for those of you who know him. But on Instagram, it's what? Mally produces lifts.
Yeah.
Let's go. Okay, so this episode is gonna be a good one. Mally and I have history, goes back. He actually used to be a 74 kilo lifter, but he ended up winning the 2024 Canadian National Championship as a 66 kilo lifter. So that was your first national title ever, right, Mally?
Yeah, that was, yeah.
We're gonna touch on it and touch on the cut. But just to go back, your first meet, I think you said it was in 2015, if that's correct.
Yeah, 2015, yeah.
Okay, and what weight class were you back then?
I was a 66. So it was a CPL competition, so I was a 68, I guess.
Damn. Okay, he's
Yeah.
from the CPL. He's a CPL guy.
Yeah, my
Red
first comp.
flag.
Yeah, no, I didn't know any better. I signed up the night before and I was like, all right, I'll show up.
Damn, you could just sign up the night before.
Yeah, they just had signups and then the weigh-in was 24 hours. So I just drove to the weigh-in and I was like, okay, I guess I'm doing this now.
Holy crap. And where was
Yeah,
that? Because you used to be in Ontario
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it
it
was
was here?
Ontario. It was at Fall of Forge, or something like that. The comp was called. I think they still do competitions, but yeah, it was at Forge Performance or something.
Yeah,
That's
I think they do.
Mississauga, right?
Yeah, Mississauga. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
was
they
that
have
in
one
wraps
coming
or
up.
just it says in wraps, but you didn't actually do it in wraps?
No, I didn't do it in wraps. I was in knee sleeves. I think I was using SPDs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, so you competed, was it raw with wraps? Everyone else was wrapped and you were just
Yeah, it was actually really funny. I was going up against like all these big dudes who were like 120 pluses and just jacked out of their mind. And I remember I was getting smoked. These guys are obviously like squatting like crazy weight, like 270 or whatever. I didn't even know. I couldn't fathom that much weight at that point. But I saw them and then I saw them like filing their calluses in the corner. There was like a pile of calluses everywhere, like skin cells just
holy
sitting everywhere.
shit.
I was like, this is it. I love this sport. This is cool. It was sick.
That's crazy. So your first experience was CPL and you loved it. And
Yeah.
then from there, did you find out about the CPU or like did you do more CPL meets?
I think I always knew about the CPU, but I didn't know how to compete or how to sign up. I didn't even know there was I don't even think I knew what a deadlift bar was
Mm.
or what I was doing. I had a coach from the gym who was actually pretty strong. He kind of knew powerlifting, but we were just bros. And then I was doing CrossFit at the time, and he was just like, "Why don't you try just strength training and powerlifting?" I was like, "Okay, I'll give it a shot." So that's how I kind of went into it because I was really bad at the cardio stuff in CrossFit. But I was okay at the strength stuff. So I was like, "Oh, maybe I should just do that. That kind of sounds more fun." So I did that.
And Kyle has it pulled up. What did he total? What did he squat, bench, and deadlift?
At that first meet, I think squatted 190, you benched 110, and then missed 117 on the third, and then deadlifted 220.
That's really not bad. And I was at 66.
Yeah,
Yeah.
68, or I don't know what I weighed in that.
I think the
Probably a
weight
little high.
class was 67.5, but you weighed
Oh,
in
okay.
66.9.
Oh, okay. That's actually a pretty good total, man. Like I feel like for some local meet, 66 kilo kid, it's a big total.
Yeah, it
It's
was
not
Yeah.
400
bad.
dots. 400 dots at the first meet.
Damn.
I think
And
those
then
numbers
from
were pretty similar to what Lon Ray said too, actually.
yeah, and around the same time period, I think Mally was just
Yeah.
like 1 year beforehand.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
Lon Ray said 2014 maybe.
And you said from there you just fell in love with the sport.
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed just training, and then it was kind of just something you did with the boys. It was a very bro split. Kind of we were all running the same thing, starting five. I don't know if you guys know Andy Boca.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I used to train with him. Actually, Kyle used to be in Peterborough back then too.
I was gonna bring that
Uh,
up because I guess
yeah,
this Forge meet was before that though, because I think
yeah.
I didn't compete till like 2018. That's when around when I was training there. I was gonna
Mhm.
say small world, like because you like yeah, that was like when I very first started lifting. That was the first ever like powerlifting gym I was at was
Yeah,
Worth of Fitness in Peterborough, and you
yeah.
were there with Andy.
Actually, yeah. Funny story. I'm pretty sure it was like we just ran like a comp for the college kids at your university at Fleming,
Yeah,
and I was refing that competition. I'm not a registered ref or anything, but I was refing it.
Okay.
Yeah, Kyle won. Kyle smoked everybody. He won that comp. It was pretty sick.
Yeah, I remember because they were like a dealer for SBD stuff, and I had like one of those shitty like grizzly belts. Like I don't know if you guys remember those. It was like really skinny in the front and really wide at
Yeah.
the back. So I was used to like wearing those, and I think they let me use an SBD belt for the comp, and I just hit like massive PRs. It was all on pound
Damn.
plates and stuff.
Yeah, it was sick. It was actually a fun comp. I was wearing a beach shirt to ref.
Yeah. So what were you doing out in Peterborough? Were you going to school?
Yeah, I was there for school, so I was living in Peterborough, and then we kind of just like made that core of it because More of the Fitness was just like a fitness store, and then we asked him if we could just like start training there instead of the community center, and then he created like the storage room. He turned that into a powerlifting area with like 4 racks and some
Wow.
pound shit. So it was just the three of us, just three boys training together. Four actually. We were just all training together every day and just having fun with it, just hitting some PRs and just going crazy. Only like two of us competed. Two of them are still. One of them is actually pretty strong. His name is Turco. He's my first coach, and he's strong, but he hates competing. He's like, I'm never going to compete because I just want to drink on the weekends and train hard. So that's kind of his life. But he's kind of really he got me into powerlifting for sure. Him and Andy together.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
that
and Andy just recently started competing again, right?
Yeah, that's right. He went to Bench Worlds this year, and I think he got silver or something like that, and hit some national records. So he's coming back some a little bit. I think he's doing free lift again now.
Yeah.
What school did
Yeah,
you
he's
go to
always
in
had like
Peterborough,
monster
Mel?
bench.
Say that again, Trevor.
What school did you go to in Peterborough?
It was called Seneca College. We had one program. Like our program was also over there. They only had
Oh,
our
okay.
program sitting over there. But
Oh, okay.
there's other Seneca College campuses all around Ontario. But yeah, that one they had that one just for our program over there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like 20, maybe 25 minutes from Peterborough. My wife actually works in Peterborough.
Oh, true. That's sick. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that town. It's a nice little town.
Yeah. I think it was probably better when you were there compared to
Yeah,
now,
probably.
but
Yeah, I'm sure it's I'm sure it's a little rough now, but
yeah.
it was fun. I had a good time there actually.
and then Mally, so from there you had done that was what year? That was like the 2018 era when Kyle was going? Like when
Yeah,
Kyle was competing.
that would have been when Kyle was going 2018. I think maybe I had done a provincials at that point. I can't remember when I did my first provincials, but I did the whole nationals provincials thing, and I think my first nationals was 2019.
Oh, cool. Okay, so that
Yeah,
was my first nationals too, and Trevor's, right?
Yeah, me too.
So that
okay,
was a good
cool.
one. I
Yeah, that
like
was a
that
sick comp. Yeah,
the elevated stage was really cool and it was like this big complex. So it was really nice.
yeah.
And how did you do at your first nationals, man?
I think I came fourth. I was open. I came fourth to that one. Um, I think Ben won. Ben, what's his last name again? Ben
Langley.
from Langley. Yeah, he won because he
Yep.
was a 74 back then. And I think that's the same year Blake won junior 74.
Okay.
Yeah, so Laundry and stuff were all there, I think. But yeah, I was in open that year. And there was guys that aren't really around anymore. Like I think Chris Dang was there. He came
Mhm.
second. I think Ben came first, and then there was some guy from the East Coast that came third. And it was kind of fun because no one really knew about me. And I think me and Luke had the same coach at the same point at that point. But um, yeah, I was like doing okay, and then I was pulling for third or second, I think. And then some guy was just like, "Yo, there's some brown guy behind you. You got to keep going." So they pushed harder. He was way stronger than me, but I don't think they knew there was anybody who was like trying
Coming
for
for
third.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I had a chance, but I was trying anyways. I can't remember the numbers at all.
It was just a little out of reach, probably then.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I missed my third pull. I can't remember. Probably did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
It's
I
always cool when you're like underrated, or even like when you're coaching someone and like at the meet, like no one's expecting, like, oh, this
yeah,
person's gonna jump onto the podium.
yeah,
It's always a fun time.
yeah. I was sick.
And
For
then
some reason,
after
2019 Nats is not on your open powerlifting, so
It
maybe you're
might be
competing
a
under an alias. So
no.
you're extra
Might
extra.
be. I think I have two open powerlifting. There's one with my middle name.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a few comps on that one. I think there's two or three on there, and then this one has all the other ones.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so from there did you end up doing the 2020 Nats as well?
No, so after 2019 Nats, I moved to the Northwest Territories, and I tried to focus
Oh
on
yeah.
work and like tried to like get my career going a little bit, and then I got hurt. I tore my hips like 3 times after that, like a string in 3 years. I think I just kept getting injured over and over again. But that's when I kind of like started. I pulled out of Nats, I think twice. After that, I think 2020 and 2021, I was signed up for both of those, but I pulled out both because I couldn't train.
Mhm.
But yeah, I tore my hips both preps, and I think another time after that. I'm pretty sure going into the 2022 Nats with Luke as well. I think I hurt myself again, like 3 weeks out or 4 weeks out or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember you talking about like you're a little unsure of what you'd be able to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't remember how the day went, but I think it was better than you expected.
Yeah,
Like
it wasn't
knowing,
bad. I think I had a really good coach. I had Austin in my corner, so he was like, he still said, no, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. And somehow like didn't do great, but I think I was doing maybe I think my comp before that was like 630, and then I did a little bit more or a little bit less, but I was kind of like, oh, I think I'm feeling like something is coming back here. I think I might have done a little bit less than my PR total because people made fun of me for that. But um yeah, I did a little bit less, but it felt good because I was like, oh, okay, I'm hurt, but I can figure it out kind of thing, you know?
yeah, if you're within striking range of your best total after tearing your hip 3 times, like you're in a good
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah. So that was cool to see. But it was all awesome because mentally I was like, I'm done with powerlifting. I don't think I can do this anymore. But
Mhm.
Austin was like, no, you can do this. Just keep going. So it was all credit to him because if he wasn't there, I wouldn't have been able to push that.
So it had happened 3 times, like, and I think it was due to squats usually. Like it would be like when you hit the hole. Because I remember a
Yeah.
video, it was a pretty bad video. And I think you
Yeah.
sent it to me, and
Yeah,
like you
probably.
just collapse in the bottom.
Yeah, I don't know what I was trying to do. So it was weird. It was like because I was working like 15, 16 hours days and I was still trying to train really hard. But obviously like it was really inconsistent because I'd be living at different campsites and stuff for work. So it was like or like one day I'd train like squats on a Wednesday and then I'd have to train squats the next week on like a Sunday. So it was all weird. And then I was trying to do this weird thing. I don't know where I got it from, but I think I saw Blake do it once and I was like, oh, I should do that. I tried to like tuck my pelvis before I squatted, which no one should ever do. But I started doing that, and that was what really fucked up my squat. Because weirdly enough, like when I was first starting 74 or early in my years, I think I was one of the first guys to squat 500 because 500 was a big squat back then, right? For
Mm.
Canadian 74s. So I'm pretty
Mm.
sure I was like one of the first guys to do it. And then after that, I just couldn't make any progress, and everybody was like 250, 260, 270, and I was like, what the hell is happening to me? So that was kind of like my downfall in 74 for those years.
Yeah, and so you had not made the progress because you kept getting hurt, or it was like you weren't making progress, and then you got hurt, and then you're just like, all right, this might be it. I might be done with the sport.
No, I kept training. I kept going. Like I didn't stop training ever. I just kept, I think I went into the gym every week and just squatted through 15. I was still on program. I was still trying hard. I was doing whatever I could. Um, but it just every time I caught some sort of momentum, I would hurt myself again. So
Mhm.
I don't know what it was. There was a lot of issues with my squat technique, my deadlift technique, because I was just trying to play around and learn and experiment and do a lot of shit. Because it was obviously when you're injured, you try to like figure out more things. You're like, oh, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I should keep changing stuff. So I try to change stuff too often, and I wouldn't really get stronger. I just like, you know how like novice lifters, they'll always like look on Instagram, find
See
something,
someone.
see someone do
Yeah.
something. You're like, oh, that works for them, so I should try that. So I would do that, and I just never really caught momentum. Or if I did, I just hurt myself for some reason. It was weird.
Yeah. It seems like it had a lot to do with your actual schedule outside of the gym and less to do with like programming. And I'm sure like that loop of, oh, like this guy does that, I'll copy him is not gonna, it's just gonna make it worse. But it seems like it was those 16-hour days and the inconsistent training schedule.
Yeah, for sure. Like that. That's just. It was just externals. I think that was just getting to me. I was just not able to. I think mentally I was trying to push, but physically I was not recovering at all or just like doing anything. And then, yeah, it was my diet wasn't very good either. Like because I was always away, so I was trying my best, but it wasn't very good. So that was a big fact. I'm pretty sure that was the reason. Sleep, rest, diet was just bad. So
Mhm.
yeah,
And do you want to share with the people what you do for work and like what like you were doing at the
yeah.
time?
Yeah, I'm a pilot, so I work full time as an airline pilot. So when I was up there, it was a lot more. I was working in the Arctic, so I would be away for like 3 or 4 days. Like I try to meal prep and take like a bag of food every time I went with like as much protein as stuff I could, but every day was different, so it was hard, and I wouldn't be able to train up north because there's no gyms.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
had to wait until you went home and had a few days off.
Yeah, and then I would try to cram workouts together and like, like now I tell my clients completely different. Like if their work, like if I coach people who are like who have a hard life outside of the gym, I'm just like, don't cram shit together. Just do what you can, try to stick to a schedule, like like because that taught me a lot about how you can actually like affect yourself a lot if you don't listen to your body and try to just like push and get it done.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense, man. It seems like you were fighting a losing battle at the time.
Yeah.
And then so you moved back to Ontario around that time, I think, like 2022, 2023.
Yeah, 20 what year are we in? 2024. Yeah,
Yeah.
2023. No, end of 2022, I moved to Ottawa.
Okay, Ottawa.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of where I started to catch a little bit of momentum again.
Yeah, that's actually now that I'm thinking about it, like the whole timeline of it, you looked very strong even at 74, which like was
Yeah.
your problem before. You felt like you couldn't get that 550. So once your life kind of got into order outside of the gym, you caught your stride. It looked like I think you squatted like the 250 range, right? At 74 in the gym at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, I did it at the gym. Haven't done it in comp yet, but 250, I think I did 250 bench like 165 and pulled 300 in training. So I
Mhm.
was catching some good momentum there. So it was good. But yeah, it was all externals. Like my lifestyle completely flipped when I went to Ottawa. Obviously, like my training partner was completely different too. I was with Adam. So that played a huge role, I think, in my training. Because I don't think if I trained with Adam, I would have been able to switch and go into that mindset and push myself as hard. But training with Adam, but also lifestyle changed significantly. Like I was training every day, like most days I was doing like a consistent schedule, even if I was in like other cities. Like I was still traveling a lot, but I would be traveling to cities with gyms, so I would just train.
Mm.
So I was able to like stay in some sort of a schedule, which was good.
And that was because it was a different airline. You were flying what, like in the States and stuff?
No, same airline. I've always been in the same airline, but yeah, the it turned from flying up north to flying to like I still went to like Iqaluit here and there, but it was mostly Winnipeg and Montreal. So
Okay.
Winnipeg and Montreal have gyms, so I was able to train. It was still weird because it was still like long days, like 14-hour days, but and then I'd train at night, like in like random gyms. So there was still like for like textbook powerlifter, which is what I kind of do now, um, I still wasn't able to like train in the same environment, train with like the same routine and stuff like that. So that kind of changed when I moved to Calgary. I really moved to Calgary for that, honestly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And then it just works out better and like which way, like the schedule is just
Yeah, so the
better.
Calgary, same airline in Calgary, but we do all like I probably shouldn't talk about it, but we do work where I come home every day.
Hmm.
I come home like I go to work at like 4 a.m. and then I come back by 10 a.m. Or I do night shifts where I go to work at like 4 p.m. and I'm back by 9 p.m. So
Hmm.
but I'm home every day. I'm back to the same bed. So I'm able to
Yeah.
follow a routine and follow some sort of a schedule. So that's why I moved to Calgary. That's why I'll probably never go to a big airline like Air Canada or something like that because I want to be able to train and consistently. And I've seen how bad it is with like the inconsistent lifestyle. So
Yeah.
that's why I changed here, and I'm kind of like sacrificing the big airline dream because I want to powerlift.
Yeah. But you also have your coaching and all that you have going
Yeah,
on. And we'll
exactly. Yeah.
talk about that a lot more later on in the episode as well. So now you have your schedule and your routine, and then I think maybe we'll just jump forward to like the rest Westerns era where you did. I think that was your last comp as a 74, right?
The last Westerns I did in Moose Jaw. Yeah, that's right.
And so with that one, you went there in hopes of putting together like those big numbers and potentially qualifying for worlds.
Yeah, I think I was a little delusional with that. I'm not gonna lie. Like now that I look back at it, but you have to be a little cuckoo in the head
Yeah.
to be able to push, I think. So I was a little delusional. I wanted to beat Blake, obviously, get that world spot. because that was a weird year where we could like win it at Essentials. We saw what Luke did. I think I didn't expect Luke to do both Luke's. Sorry, I didn't expect Luke and Blake to do 740 or whatever they were what they both did. I thought they were both going to do like 715, 720, something like that. So they definitely
Yeah.
pushed that game. I think after that, I was like, okay, let's try to qualify for like let's try to get like top 3 and get a Commonwealth NAPF or something like that spot to do to represent Canada that way. But then Westerns was just bad. I don't know what the hell happened. I had nothing. I hurt myself on the platform. I think I pushed myself too hard in training to chase numbers rather than actually do what was best for me. So that was kind of bad.
Mhm.
I think I still ended up, no, I don't think I PR totaled that one. I think I PR totaled the one before. But yeah, I just had a bad string of comps. But I think Tim figured out how to push me in those competitions. And I also figured out how to like train much better during those competitions. So that was a good thing. So we just had to keep going with it. But that competition is where everything switched in my head, I think.
And then you kind of figured out like, okay, like I know what I need to do at a comp and how to put it together. And that's when you kind of realize like, oh, I pushed too hard in the gym, sort of deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was like I went so long without having the ability to push. So as soon as I got the ability to push, I'm like I should push, right? Like I need to train really hard to be able to get it, but obviously it was like I wasn't training. I was my food was better, my rest was better, but training wise, I might have been pushing to try to get to that 710 level again,
Hmm.
what I did in training, but I wasn't able to because I was trying to chase people like Blake and stuff like that. But what I should have been doing, which most powerlifters should do, is just chip away and just put good comps together and PR total, keep going with it, right?
Yeah. And so your dream was to go to get the world spot as a 74. That was probably a dream that you had for like a while,
Yeah.
like you said, like even if it's not super close, like you got to be like delusional to the point of like, I know one day I'll do it. So you can actually push and recover and train hard enough to get there. And then obviously we know what actually ended up happening was you made the cut down to 66. And what was it that sparked that decision to make the cut? Because that's a decent cut, like it's not something that like because I used to be a 74 and we were talking about it before the recording started, but if I had done that, I think it would have went horribly wrong. I probably would have been very skinny. It probably would have got hurt. But like you had faith that this would work, and why did it even come to your head as like an idea?
I think there's a little bit of not giving up, right? Like you have to. I didn't want to give up on that dream of going to Worlds, and being in the top list of Canadian powerlifting. Um, so after that last Westerns, I went home and I was just sitting in the hotel or Airbnb, just drinking a bunch of beers by myself, like 3 a.m. and just having a really bad time, just like contemplating if I want to do this, if I want to, like, why are we doing this? Like, what's the point if I just keep getting hurt? And I kind of felt like a joke because people, as I was as I was competing that day, there's people on the platform, sorry, people in the audience laughing at me and stuff because I was just in my zone and doing my thing. And people were just laughing at me because I wasn't doing good, but I was still in my zone. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Lapidat was there commentating for the competition. He was also like, oh, he was just like, if you hear back the commentary, he wasn't like making fun of me, but it was kind of like, it almost felt like, why am I doing this? Like, why do I think I'm at that level, but I'm not? It's like that delusion factor kind of thing. So I went home and I like for a couple of weeks, I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm not where I want to be. Why am I doing this shit? And then, um, and then a few weeks before that, I was at Sheffield to coach or handle Tim. And that's when I talked to Tim and I was just like, what if we, after this competition, like try to explore a cut, like try to see if we can cut down at that point. Cause at that point, Blake had done his total and all that shit, I think. So I already kind of knew where I was at. So that's when it kind of was like, okay, this could be possible because the 66 game in Canada was not pushed at all. Like no one is really doing anything special yet, even me. So I think there was room there. So I was just like, okay, I can get my foot in the door with this one. So let's do that. And then if I'm good, if I'm able to do it, then I can push hard. And there's only one way to find out. So that's kind of where it started.
It seems like a lot of the time it comes from like a dark place in quotation you could say like after that, you're like almost like imposter syndrome. Like, what am I doing? Why am I trying to get there if I just can't? And then even
Yeah.
before, when you had initially almost quit because of the injuries that you kept dealing with, it's like you face that wall of like, okay, why am I doing this? Should I give up? But then you've just doubled down every time. And obviously, it's worked out great both times. So
Right.
you
Yeah.
you went through with it. You won the national title. But before we get to that, how hard was it making the cut and actually doing like putting in the work in that deficit?
It was tough for sure. Like I think you guys talked about it in the podcast leading up to the competition. You're like, Mally is a very different lifter 4 weeks ago before until than he is now. So it was tough. That's especially that last 4 weeks or 5 weeks before the comp was tough because that's when we were going down from like 69 to like 67. And Tim wanted me to go down closer than we're going to go for worlds in terms of body weight. So he wanted me to go down closer so it'd be an easier cut one day out. I think that was a really smart move on his part because he's done it before, right? He's kind of like the cutting first guy who did it at a high stage. So he kind of said he kind of was very good in that way, told me what to do. So it was really tough for sure. But what before we started the cut, what Tim told me was probably one of the main things that pushed me every week was he was like, it's going to be tough and your body is going to say no, but you have to like refuse to lose strength. You have to go into every single day and just like fight every single rep. And it was like every rep was a fight. I remember I think I was moving like everything felt like RP10. Everything felt hard in my hands, my back, like nothing felt easy. And it was just my body saying, get the fuck out of here. I don't know what we're doing right now. So I just had to mentally, I just had to push through every single day, which was mentally exhausting, but it was fun.
Yeah, you kind of like doubled down on it even with like your posting and stuff. Like you obviously were feeling that pressure and like this is actually very hard. I think you put out like a lot of motivating stuff and just like kind of like telling yourself like it's gonna be okay. And like through I guess like these guys know too, like Trevor and Kyle, we were watching, it's like almost like Mally's going insane during this cut.
Yeah, there was definitely a little bit of insanity in that. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think you have to be in that mindset. But you guys know, like you guys are all high level lifters. You guys know what it takes to push yourself, even if you're not cutting, right? Like if you're trying to get to that point of just beating somebody ahead of you, like you have to be in that Delulu mindset. Like this just the mindset has to be a little bit different. And I think I saw that training with Adam and Nick and training and seeing people at I went to see Worlds, I went to see Sheffield. So I saw all these guys at the highest level and I was like, these guys are all cuckoo. Like no one is normal. Like everyone is a little bit crazy. And I'm like, I'm crazy. I know I'm a little crazy, so I can just hone into that and I can do something. So that's kind of where the craziness and insanity started.
How many
I'd love to see
calories
it,
were
man.
you on?
I think we got down to 1600 at one point.
Oh God,
Yeah,
that sounds like hell.
it was not fun, but these help. Fairlife, just drink a lot of it all day. Yeah,
Is that the skim?
Yeah.
yeah, it's a skim. Yeah.
Oh God,
I
that
remember
sucks.
wondering that. Like, I saw you drinking that giant glass of milk. I'm like, dude, isn't that half your daily calorie intake? But you're like, no, it's like some diet milk.
Yeah, well, it's good because you get if you drink the whole thing every day. Adam got me on it, but you get about 95 grams of protein. So you do that, and then you fill everything else up with carbs and fats and the rest of the protein, and you're good.
That's
Yeah, I guess
ridiculous. Sometimes when I read certain things like that, I'm like, is this real? Is this real protein? Like, you know what I mean? Or is it like, or is it placebo protein?
Yeah, I have no
Like,
idea, but I mean, it feels good. So I feel recovered every day. So I think it's doing something, but it's expensive for sure.
Yeah.
I
But
read
like
something about milk being like one of the most hydrating substances too, like over
Really?
water
yeah,
for some reason. Yeah, it's like really good
yeah,
for hydration.
Interesting.
what
something
were you
inside the cow.
yeah. What were you saying before, Trevor?
What were we talking about?
I don't know, something about the milk and then you were gonna say something.
Oh, I was saying, I guess because it's skim milk and it's like a low fat content, that the calories actually wouldn't be that high.
Yeah.
Yeah, the calories are not high. I don't think it's like 80 calories per cup.
Oh
Yeah, I
God.
remember when I was bulking into Easterns, I was drinking the fucking whole milk for like it
That's
was a lot of
crazy.
calories.
That's a lot of calories.
It got too expensive though. They're like $7 now.
Yeah, they're crazy expensive. I don't
It's
know. Yeah.
Brutal. Well, I guess if you only have to have one glass a day and that's half your calories, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I did the math. No, I drink the whole jug every day, like the whole
Yeah.
whole box. So $7 a day. But if you do the math, 7 days a week, it's like it's not that bad. Seven times
Yeah.
seven. That's kind of like like now with how expensive meat is, it's kind of the same as eating chicken breast, I guess. But
Yeah.
you get more protein out of it. So it's kind of, I mean, I was just like, oh, if you do the math, it's not that bad. So I kind of just stuck with it.
Yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of
If
like the
you're
same as
on the
paying
go
for
and
whey
stuff, it's
protein too.
handy.
Yeah, I do drink whey protein sometimes, but I hate the way it tastes. So I was just like, I'd rather drink milk, honestly.
Well, what was the rest of your diet like? Like, what are the main food sources like when you're down
Um,
1600?
so this might sound weird, but pre training every day, I still do it. I found a light shin ramen. It's like it's 70 calories, sorry, 70 carbs, 2 fat, and about 10 protein. So I ate that in a
Yeah.
toaster strudel every day
And
before
then
training.
toaster strudel.
Yeah,
What?
because I don't know, I was just a little bit of sweet and a little bit more calories. So I
So
did
that's how
that
you kept your sanity all prep. You had your little
all
toaster
prep.
strudel every day.
Yeah, I do that, and then 2 hours later I train. I was like, it has to be the same as comp. It has to be exactly the same. So I'm a bit neurotic with that kind of shit. So I was just like, try to control everything you can because there's a lot of shit that you can't control. So those are the things that I tried to control. I was like, make sure you eat this much, and then on SBD days, I'd eat a little bit of kiwi between every compound. I'll eat one kiwi between every compound, and then after training was shrimp, a lot of shrimp.
Shrimp is good.
And
Yeah.
on the comp day, did you have your toaster strudel? Did you even have
No,
two?
man, comp day was fucking stupid. I did some dumb shit. It was my fault. It was very rookie of me, but it was obviously like the first time doing a refeed like that, right? So I was just like, oh, I'll do the same refeed as I did for 74. Where I was just like, I'll have one try roll with the Gatorade, and then some water. And I didn't drink enough water.
Mm.
So I just started fucking yakking. I was projectile vomiting everywhere. I don't know if you guys were at the back, but I was like, you know how there's the warm up room and then a curtain and then that whole area. So I just walk back there every now and then and I just fucking yak. And I'd come back and do the next warm up and I'd go puke again, come back. So I was not able to hold any food in or water. And I didn't get to eat my noodles. I didn't get to eat anything. So I was just like, eventually I started to feel okay and I started to have like lollipops because those are dense carbs. So I started to have some lollipops, and that kind of brought me back. But you're not getting any fucking bloat or body weight back at that point, right? You're just like
No.
getting some insulin. That's it.
God
Is that
damn,
why? I
dude.
guess can we get into the meat day now, Luke? Is that part of the plan, or do you have other stuff?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's good. We can talk
I was
about it.
gonna say, is that because I think you guys dropped your squat opener, right? From what you had planned.
Yeah. So what happened was I was warming up, and both my feet were cramped as I was warming up. Like they were
Mm.
both like almost like I don't know if we're gonna post the video, but they almost like were just all closing up on me, both my feet. So I was just like, holy fuck, I don't know if I can squat, but if I can squat 210, I don't give a fuck. So I was just like, I know I can do 210 in my sleep. Let's load 210. And if I can do that, not feeling my feet, then I'll just do whatever the plan is. But this is the funny part, the 20 kilo jump that everyone's talking about. Um, in my head, I was like, I always do 15 kilo jumps between to my top set, 15 or 12 around there, even in training. So to Graham, after that 210, I said, stick to the plan. But in my head, the plan was 15 kilos, not 20 kilos. But
No.
on his paper, the plan was 220, whatever it was, 230. So and on paper it was 230, and then I went to the back and I saw 230. I was like, oh fuck, we're going for it. So, but then I was just like, fuck it, I can't feel my feet, but I can still squat it. So on the way out to the platform, I think the TC was laughing because I was like, fuck it, just do it with no legs. And I was just screaming that. And I was just like ready to go. I was ready to die out there. I didn't care. It was fun though. I just loaded it, I guess, in a little bit of a mistake, but it kind of looked cool, I guess.
It
I'm
made
not
it
good.
interesting because me and Trevor
Yeah.
watched. We're like, okay, this is like the moment. This is the make or
Yeah.
break it because if you like, it was either you're gonna hit that or you're gonna like be way behind. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we
all
were
these
what was the
confused.
squat in training that you hit that was like a pretty tough grinder that was like maybe 2 weeks out?
234 or 232, something like that. 235 maybe.
I think it was 232 because we had a little
Okay.
competition going.
Yeah, it might have been 230. Yeah, it was somewhere around that range. But that was always the plan. The plan was always to hit 232, 235 2 weeks out. And then loading to Tim wanted 240 or 242. But on the day, I was just like, I don't think with the cramps I'm having, I don't think it's a smart thing to do. Because if I miss that third squat, it opens the window for an easier deadlift for Carlos. So I was just like, no, I have to load something that I can hit like no matter what. So that's why we went to 237. So a little bit off the plan. Because the plan obviously was to beat Clifton's total, but the day wasn't going how it was going, so we just didn't go for it.
Well, yeah, to be honest,
and
like sounding based on what you were saying, like happened with the recomp, it was not too bad, right? Like
No,
I remember
yeah.
that's why me and Trevor were like, oh, because in training that 232 is tough, but you still weren't at weight, right? So
Yeah.
we're like, okay, let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
It worked out.
Yeah, and that's the one soundbite that we know that Mallory listens to was I think it was Trevor or maybe one of us, Kyle said it, but it's Mallory versus the cut to see, if he actually is going to be able to perform after it. And I'm sure that's a lot of people were probably thinking that, maybe saying it to you. Did you were you thinking that yourself? Were you scared? Or when you heard us talking about it, like what did you think? You're just like, it's gonna be okay?
Oh, it fired me up. It was sick. It was like I hone into that kind of shit. Like if people are talking crap or like saying I can't do something, I love it. Like I want people to say that shit and I feed into it. So I don't care about being counted out because I've never been good. And again at Worlds, I'm not nominated good. So it's the same. It's always going to be like that, and I don't mind it at all. I think I enjoy that underdog thing. So and I understand why people were saying it, right? Like 74, I was not good. I never performed good on the platform. So I know why people were saying the shit they were saying. Even after the competition, Lou's coach came up to me and he was just like, honestly, I didn't think you could do 9 for 90. I've never done it before, which I have, first of all. But but like like that shit was I knew what people were saying, so I just honed into it. I was just like, you got to lean into this shit. There's one way to take it. It's either you're gonna let it like crumble you and let it get to your head, or you're gonna say like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna prove these guys wrong. So I went that way.
Yeah, it's definitely the better option.
Yeah, for sure.
It can fire you up too when you're like dieting down, starving yourself. You don't even want to go train. You feel weak. You're like, I can't let those guys be right. Like, no chance.
No. And I think I hurt myself 4 weeks out again from this competition. I a little tweak in my back. Nothing like the hip tears or anything. But then I think that's around when Trevor said Lou's gonna win, or something like that. And then I was just like, I don't give a shit. I felt no pain after that.
That's one thing I was gonna ask is because like you kept having this recurring like hip injuries and stuff at 74, but then it seemed like you went to 66, and we're not pain free like by any means, but definitely healthier, right? Like more consistent training. Do you think that's just because of the job lifestyle factors like you were talking about? Because that was the one thing I was like concerned. I was saying Mally versus the cut because I'm like, okay, he has all these previous preps where he's getting hurt like at 74. Now he's got to drop like 20 something pounds.
All the calories too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Weirdly enough, I felt more explosive. Maybe because I was eating because I was counting every single gram that went into my body and made sure it mattered, so maybe that was it. But so I was recovering better. So externals were way better. I was taking care of everything. But I think Tim, programming wise, also knew exactly what I needed. When to push, when to not, how to plan blocks, how to like finish blocks, how to start blocks, all that kind of shit all came together and is coming together even now. So I think that's the big change that happened in terms of my hips. And obviously, like if you get hurt so many times, like I was still feeling like the groin and the hip stuff quite a bit here and there, but I would just kind of do all my rehab stuff often. Like I still do them every day. So just doing all that, so you learn a lot when you get hurt, right? So I just kept doing all the shit that I knew as soon as I felt the pain. Because usually this is kind of going a bit crazy about stuff, but usually before injuries happen, your body starts giving you signs in some ways. So for me, my sign for my hip tear is always my shoulder. So it's as soon as I feel my shoulder, I start easing back on fatigue. I start pulling my back downs down, start doing more rehab work. I start focusing on like more sleep and shit like that. And then it's fine. So listening to that kind of like chain of command of your body, I think is very important when it comes to that.
Yeah. And so by the shoulder, you just mean like that's when you're feeling fatigue in your shoulder, you know that your body's too fatigued. So that's why
Yeah.
you pull back.
Yeah, I think there's something. So I think it happens every time it's happened. It's my shoulder, and then my back gives out, and then as soon as my back gives out, my hip starts giving out. So it's kind of like that weird chain of command. So as soon as I feel my shoulder, I just go. Obviously, in this prep, my back was it was getting to the back point, but I had no choice but to push. I was like, I can't fucking give up now. So I just kept going with it. But um, but yeah, that chain of command and training for long term is definitely important for I think for me.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're so close, you can't pull back, or else you're gonna
No,
feel really flat and weak on the day.
yeah, you can pull back. I mean, I did pull back some back down stuff, and I did some lighter squat days where like high bar squat. I do three squat days, and my third squat day was a high bar squat. I think I squatted like 70 kilos 3 weeks out
Yeah,
and shit
I've
like that.
seen
So
that.
I
Yeah.
yeah,
remember that.
yeah, yeah. So I did pull back a little bit, but pull back on the days that don't really matter as much. But I tried to. But then I was like, I still need to squat hard because otherwise I feel like shit on day one because it's the primer. So I was just like, fuck it, I have to keep going. So there's a balance there, I guess.
Yeah, you shared a lot of that on your story too. Like you
Yeah.
gave like the context to it all. So those who follow you obviously remember.
Yeah, I like being open about everything. I don't know. I think some people try to hide all their training, but I just like it's one of those sports where it's not like we're not playing basketball, we're not playing soccer where you can just like come out of nowhere and just go crazy. It really is. We post and we talk about it and we create the hype and that's how we go with it. So I was just like, no, there's no point hiding shit. Just go with it.
Mhm. And just to go back to comp day, so obviously you really believe that you would win, um, and you convinced yourself of that regardless. And then you had it was Derek Liu who had won last year, and then Carlos, what's his last name?
Um,
Or we don't
yeah,
know.
fuck, I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember his
But
last name.
that's
Castillo, I think.
Castillo, yeah, Castillo, I think, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah, something
So
like that.
they're both really good competitors and very strong. Like Carlos has put up really big totals. Who were you more like worried about on the day?
Carlos for sure because he's got that pull, right? So
Mhm.
I didn't know where he was at because he wasn't posting training. He told people in my crew that he's not competing. So I kind of thought that he's not going for it, but I didn't let myself think that. As soon as I found out he might not go, I was just like, no, he's going. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I got that from Adam, like Adam, because Nick Manders was hurt, but Adam wouldn't tell himself that Nick's hurt. So you have to almost like the delusion factor comes back into play. You almost have to like tell yourself shit to be like, no, you have to keep going. So
Yeah.
if I pulled back when I thought Carlos was not going, I would have probably totaled way less than Carlos,
Hmm.
right? And then I would have opened the door. So I think Carlos for sure, but I didn't count Lou out because Lou's squat was looking nasty, and I know he was in post his last squat, and I know his bench is really good. So I knew he's not a deadlifter, but I knew he had a subtotal, right? So
Yeah.
they're both there. I was just like, I just have to do something that will push them to their limits. And that's part of why I kept training and posting my training because I was just like, if I push them in training, I'm kind of like in their head pushing them. So I'm making them make mistakes, making them load shit in training that they're not capable of, or I made them better. I don't know. But I just, but
Either way, yeah.
either way, I would just like, no, you have to keep going. But I think Carlos for sure was the bigger threat.
Yeah, because he can pull like what did he attempt? So what did you pull? And then Carlos came out afterwards, right?
Yeah, I think I pulled 275 and that pushed Carlos for like a 287 pull. And I was just like, I don't know if you've seen the clip of me standing on the side and watching it. I was fucking terrified because I was like, when I pulled 275, I was like, fuck, I had 5 more kilos. And
Mhm.
I was just mad that I didn't pull 5 more kilos.
Yeah.
But it was the right call. I think Graham made the right call because he saw how Carlos was moving. Because Carlos was moving good. In the back room, I was watching him. I was just like, "You're moving good. Shit, I'm fucked. I have to push hard." But then after my opener, Graham was just like, "What are we doing here?" I was just like, "Load something he can't do," and he's like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And he was just like, there's a clip of Graham going like, whoa, like his face is just like, I don't know what the fuck to load right now. So he made the perfect call. I think he's the best handler I could have had. He made the right call on the day of pushing him to just more than enough. Because I think if it was 285, I think Carlos pulls it.
Yeah.
Right. So I think 287 was just the right number to push him a little bit. So that was good.
I knew when I saw Carlos put that like burger singlet on, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah. I was
Like,
just like, fuck, he's mocking me. I was so mad.
yeah. It was funny because his deadlift opener was like, it wasn't that great to be honest, but then his second deadlift looked like way better to me, and I was like, oh shit, like he might
Yeah.
actually pull it.
Yeah, I saw a second.
Yeah.
I was like, "Whoo, he's here!" So I was
Yeah.
definitely scared of goes because at that point I think Lou was out. We saw Lou's opener and we're like, yeah, he's not winning, so he was out. So it was just Carlos, and the Carlos moved that second real good. So we're like, oh fuck, he's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
had a PR total, right? So he was definitely
Yeah.
on. Like, I guess we didn't really know that much about him like going into the meet because I had like we had heard that he might not be doing it, so I kind of had like counted him out, but it was definitely a strategy because he was his best ever.
Yeah, and I knew there was something because what happened was, um, a couple of weeks out, he posted a little clip on his story of him kicking the camera, and then he didn't post this deadlift. But then a day out, his coach posted a little clip of a hype video for him, and in that he pulls 275 or 277, like really good, and he had the kick in the end. So I was like, oh fuck, he's been good. He's been fine for like 3 weeks. So I was just like, no, I as soon as that I saw that one day out, I was like, I fucking knew it. I knew I should have kept pushing. So I'm glad I did.
I think that's where the posting thing does come into play a little bit, even though I agree. Like, there's nothing you could do. If someone's stronger than you, they're stronger than you. Like,
Mhm.
for example, imagine he was hiding, like, I don't know, a 295 pull. And, like, he's like, oh, I'm hurt, blah, 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 whatever. And then you guys loaded the 275. You had 5 in the tank. But imagine you had the knowledge that, like, he could pull 295. Like, do you think you would have went for that 280? Like, probably, right?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to, right? Like it was. I didn't care about coming fifth at that point.
Yeah.
It was either win or not. So it was, yeah. You load whatever you can, but for sure, like if like that's a Instagram is definitely like how you can play it in your favor. Or you can play it like against yourself in both ways, right? So
Mhm. And so once you actually did see him miss, what was the feelings and the emotions? Like, did you feel it right away in that moment?
I felt relief for sure. It was like a sign. It was a sign of relief. Like holy shit! It was it was. I think I was watching and I was so scared that he's gonna pull it because I was like, holy fuck, that's an easy pull for him. I'm an idiot. So I thought he was good. I thought he won. I was like, oh, Carlos won. He's got this. So I was just it was a sign of relief, and then I walked around to the back, and then I think I gave Lou and Carlos a hug, and we were like talking to each other, and then it became back to the delusion. I don't know what the fuck it was, but I think I'm a little crazy for this. But I just went, we all suck. Clifton's better than us, and I walked away. And then after that, it was I was crying, and I went, I need to call my mom, and then I went to the back and I let all the emotions sit in. But it was weird. It was like this holy shit, it's done relief to like holy crap, we suck to okay, I did it. It was weird.
You know what's funny is I hear a lot of people describe winning like that it's more of like a relief, like a weight off your shoulders, right?
Yeah.
Because like you sacrifice so much going into it, like kind of like you talked about, it's almost like an imposter syndrome. It's like, why am I doing this? Like you're just like
Yeah.
killing yourself every day, and then you finally win. You're like, okay, thank God. Like,
Yeah, I think Chris Bumstead talked about it on a podcast recently as well, where after he posted it after he won the Olympias the sixth time, but he filmed it before. But he talks about how winning is just a relief from like all the stress you've accumulated over the last few weeks, or all the doubts that you have to like come after, all the people that think you can't do it. So it's a huge sigh of relief winning, because I can't even imagine losing. If I lost, that shit would have been embarrassing, right? Like now I'm the guy who cut and didn't do it. Now I'm that guy, right? So that, and then now everybody's correct. Now all the people watching at home, because like all my family watches me compete every time, and my niece and nephew are kids, but they always, every time I lose or every time I do bad, they're like, oh, he always does this. So it's like kids get it, You know, they say
Dang.
shit like that. So like all that pressure of like I have to perform because all these people are counting on me, or all these people are just expecting me to do bad again. So that
Yeah.
embarrassment factor would have been crazy. So I think the relief was the reason for that shit.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it because I think a lot of people think it's just pure joy, but
No,
you're
yeah.
just like, thank God I'm right. That delusion was worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's insane because that's like what? When did you initially think that 74 you had a chance? It was a few years of like, oh, I disappointed myself. Everyone thinks I suck. And then that's all you're feeling. You had to convince yourself, I can do it, I can do it, and you finally do it.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I always had a little bit of illusion. I think ever since I started powerlifting, I was like, I'm gonna win. And I was nowhere close, right? Like I was always just like not even close. But I always every comp I went into, I was like, I'm gonna fucking win.
Yeah.
Everything, even if I wasn't close. So it was just that like stupid delusion has always been inside of me. I just had to turn it into like I can do it, but it's always been there. And then no one else has thought it. Like there's for sure no when I was a 74, nobody was just like Mally's gonna win. I know for sure. I think 2023 Vancouver Nationals, Connor Lutz posted like this blog of like who's gonna come first, and I wasn't even in top six. And that pissed me the fuck off. But I was just like, but there was no reason for it. Like I was not gonna win, but for some reason I thought I was gonna win. I don't know what the fuck it was.
No, you just knew you were like, I'm destined for greatness. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
I think it was in there, but I was just like, I don't know how to fucking bring it out. I think I'm doing something wrong, but there was some part of me was just like, no, you can do this. But so you just have to keep believing in yourself, I think, in some weird way.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes 9 years, but it's worth it.
It's whatever, yeah.
It's
One thing
taken
I
a
wanted to ask is for this meet, like obviously your execution was like super important because you if you had missed one lift, then it was like wide open for Carlos.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you did anything different like when it comes to like execution of your lifts to go 9 for 9? Like especially coming off like two meets where you had like a bit of like rough performances, like is there anything you changed?
I think I became a way better powerlifter on this competition. I think like there's some sort of strategy, there's some sort of understanding your body and letting the ego leave the ego at the door, even on comp day kind of thing. Like that, making the right calls of like pulling back and shit. Because I think if I was back in the day when I was 74, I wouldn't have pulled back that opener. I would have just kept it because I'm like, no, I have to do it. But that factor of like, no, you have to make the right attempt because you have to, this one needs to work. You have to make it count. So that right call of being like a good power lifter and like even pushing when you know what you need to push, like bench, we were only going to bench 145, but I benched 150. So I was kind of like, I can push, right? Like I knew when to push, when to pull back. So all those game day things as like a good powerlifter should be able to do was what I did. And obviously studying the data of like seeing what other 66s in the world, what they open at and what they miss, what jumps they take and all that kind of shit. Like I studied everything and I just like became a better powerlifter, I think, as a 66.
Mhm. Yeah,
Was there
you
anything
just
in training that you did differently, or your training was like kind of the same? Like,
Yeah, so definitely we learned in the last few preps that squatting too pushing squats too hard or going too heavy would be bad for me. Pushing deadlifts too hard because I'd always push deadlifts to like an RP 10 1 week out or 2 weeks out, and then I wouldn't be able to recover, and I'd always not show up on the day. So I still missed my last deadlift in training, but it was only 270. But it was not too hard. Like the 260 before that, sorry, 255 before that was good. So I was like 255 is good, so that's my last deadlift. That's fine. So I just kind of like I guess pulled everything back. But bench, I still don't know what the fuck I did. I missed like every bench leading into comp. I think every day I was missing one bench press. So, but it was the best. It felt the best. So I don't know what the fuck I did.
because to
you
be
just
honest, like
made
your
it happen.
bench held on to strength like pretty well, like considering how much you cut. Like if you look at it, like the meet before, like so the Westerns before you were 74 and you hit 152, and then you hit 150 after cutting 8 kilos.
Yeah.
It went pretty well.
Yeah, surprisingly. I mean, it felt really bad. So I was not expecting that. So I was only going to bench like 142, 145 on the day. So I didn't think it was going to be that good because I was missing so much shit. I think I missed I missed 150 a week out. I missed 145 like 3 times in a row before that. So it just wasn't, nothing was happening. But I mean, trust your coach.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
guys taper the bench pretty hard?
Yeah, we tapered pretty good. Like we always do pretty much the same taper. Like you do a hard single a week out, a week and a half out, and then you taper like you still do. But then it was still feeling hard. And then 3 days out, I did my last session and I was like 130 felt like air in my hands. And I was like, okay, bench is here. But I didn't know
That's
about the other
good.
two. Yeah.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say too, like, once I seen you weigh in, I was like, that's the other thing. Like when we were just joking around, but it was kind of serious too. It's Mally versus the cut. What's he gonna look like post cut? Will he recomp well? But you actually looked very good, like very full muscle wise and very lean. So it's like you held on to a lot of muscle, and it could have just been through beating yourself up with squat, bench, deadlift, and the fatigue being so high. Like even when the squat and the deadlift got lighter, the bench just then was like, okay, like my pecs can recover. Like my little amount of food can actually heal up my chest now because I'm not squatting and deadlifting like crazy. So that could have been a part of it too.
Yeah, for sure.
So now what's next for you? Are you just gonna do worlds, no nats and moose jaw, or do you think is it something you're thinking about
No,
doing?
I'm going to just worlds now. I was going to do a local competition in January because I wanted to put up a bigger total and get more refeed practice. Because the bigger total would have guaranteed flight A. Because right now I'm like sitting 7th or 6th in flight A, so I wanted to guarantee flight A because Gel is like he's pushed everyone down, right? So it's if Gel goes to 66 and I get pushed down to spot 7, but I can't do that because Team Canada doesn't consider local competitions as a considered total for nationals. So I can't do a local competition for that. So we're just gonna do what we can and then push as hard as we can. But it's cool because 8 months. I'm never gonna get 8 months for Worlds again. So
Yeah. Well, we were talking to Landray last episode, and he won the 74s, and we were saying we don't know if it's true or not, but it would be cool if they let you guys do nationals in February and count that. If you hit a bigger total, that's your new worlds total because it is a
yeah,
national level meet. So it's like I don't know if the OP or I guess the CPU has thought about that, but might be something to bring up.
yeah. I think no. I'm pretty sure nationals would count
Mm.
because the championship secretary said that they only consider national totals. So I'm pretty sure Moose Jaw Nationals would count, but I'm going to coach at Sheffield again in
Mm.
February, so the timeline wouldn't work.
Yeah, yeah. You were telling me about that in the DM, but I
Yeah,
forgot. That's exciting, man. How is it coaching at Sheffield?
it's freaking cool. Like it's very different. I'm just a numbers guy. Tim's got his girlfriend who goes up with him and does run the numbers, but I'm the one who gives the numbers to her. So that it's a very different sport. I feel like it's completely different to like normal game day
Mm.
handling because you're competing against everybody, right? So you're looking
Yeah.
at percentages, you're trying to predict all these percentages and what people are going to do. So it's a very different ball game, but it's cool as hell. The environment, like last time we were doing it, like the pressure is real because you're sitting in this room with like everybody running numbers with you because
Yeah.
everybody has two coaches and everyone's running numbers with you. You're all kind of like everyone's kind of like ecstatic when their lifter does good. Everyone's kind of like sighing when like the others do good, and you're trying to like make these number calls, and like the whole fucking area is vibrating from the audience. So it's just like it's a very
A lot
different
of
environment.
pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, and like last time we talked to Tim, and Tim was like, I want to go for the win. So we loaded the win, but we don't know what we're gonna do this year. Obviously, we'll talk about it closer. But yeah, it was hard to make the call for sure because it's very different strat in my opinion. Like to
Mhm.
decide what people are gonna do because you almost have to predict like what all these other lifters are gonna do who are not in your weight class, and you're like, I don't know what Jesus is gonna do. I don't know what Delaney is gonna do. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's super tough to be honest, because
Yeah,
you have to think about what they might try and do if they're going to try and win, and then
yeah,
do they actually have any chance of it?
yeah,
Or yeah, so that's very different. It's like yeah, to your point, it is a very different sport coaching
yeah.
that.
It was fun though. It was a very different environment, but it's cool to see where powerlifting is going though, being
They
there.
have screens in the back that show you like what percentage people will be at based on what they hit and stuff. Or are you just doing a calculator, everyone?
No, we created an Excel which
Okay.
calculates everything. So it was an Excel where we can see everyone's like projected jumps from all their last competitions. We had all their, like, as soon as you put in a number, what ranking it changes people to for percentage wise, depending on the world record. So you're kind of
Okay.
like predicting what people can do, and like if Tim does this, then he's at this spot. If Delaney does this, he does this spot. So you're kind of like making numbers up based on their past numbers and their training, and like so you have to know everybody. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I imagine
then-
this year's gonna be very different too, because like last year was like Gustav won with like just barely breaking the total, and now it's gonna be Chell breaking it by like
Yeah, well,
what's
now
the percentage gonna be like, or something ridiculous?
if Gel is doing what he's doing in training, like 830, he's at like 107 or 108% or something, like
Oh my God.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So just load 1,000 for Tim and just see
Yeah.
I mean, good luck, buddy.
The 83 battle is still pretty cool because everybody can walk away with money if you get a world record, if you're the last person to hit it. So the 83 battle is going to be pretty interesting. So I don't know if more people are going to be going to beat Gel, or if people are going to be just in their own little battles throughout the whole thing. Because if Gel is doing what he's doing, because the 66 world record is so low compared to what he's doing, it's not low, but it's compared to what he's doing, it's low. It's just hard to make that ground. Like Perk and all these guys doing, even if they go 860 or 870, they're just not doing enough. Like they have to do like 900 plus to beat Joe, which is crazy.
You know what's funny about Sheffield that I was thinking is like people might eventually start like not going all out each year, because like for example, like Austin has the potential to break the world record by a large percentage, but not nearly as much as Chell, right? So like I was almost wondering, like, would Austin like sandbag this one in hopes of winning next year? You know what I mean? Because like if Chell does like 800 at 66, no one's coming close, and he's taking the bag.
Yeah.
So like, why would Austin push the total up to 860 and then nerf his chances the following year?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I'm
that's kind of
sure.
weird.
I'm sure because you can already see it at Worlds, right? Like people aren't pushing world records that hard at Worlds anymore. People aren't like going, "Oh, I got it." They just try to win to get the Sheffield spot and make sure they hit the 95%, and then they don't beat the world records. A lot of people just like kind of sandbag, they chip it or whatever, because they don't want to push it, because then they're shooting themselves in the foot for Sheffield, right? So it's kind of interesting how the whole sport's kind of changed now.
Yeah.
Shell could probably split it into 2 years, break it by 50 this year and another 50 or 60 next year.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I think he should do that, because then if he wants to be like a back-to-back Sheffield champion or something like that, if he goes 770, he's still better than everybody at Sheffield. And then next year he goes 790 or 800, he's still better than everybody. So he's got all that room, right? So I don't know. But we might see more cuts. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
that'd be a really fun
everyone
time.
can do it. Like we're seeing a bunch of people like the high level cut, but it's only like certain situations that it actually works, right? Like I think like Chell's like the perfect example where like it works out for him just because he's so short and like stocky that he'll be able to do it and like not be dead. But like if Perk were to try to cut to 66, like I don't know, I don't think that would be good, right?
No, probably not. But and then we saw Tim did the cut, but he never hit his 800 totals, right? So he never broke those. But he still did good, made a name for himself. He's Sheffield back to back, but he hasn't been able to beat his 800 totals as a 74. So did it go as well as Gels went? No, not really, right?
Yeah, and he hasn't done it yet, so who knows?
Yeah,
he might not
that's true. That's true. Anything can happen. Yeah.
The only one I feel like that's successfully pulled it off at like the big level is Evie. Like Evie came in and destroyed everyone.
And she's been consistent with it too. Yeah.
Agatha too.
Oh yeah, Agatha is fucking insane.
It doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
Agatha's just going all over and killing everyone in every weight class.
She's just dominating everything. Oh, actually, you guys want to hear a funny story about Agatha at Sheffield? We were all they do this thing where they do like a tour, and everybody goes and sees like the trophy and stuff like that. And everybody was just like, "No, we don't want to touch the trophy. Like that's bad luck." And Agatha's like, "I'll do it. I'm gonna win anyways." And it was so sick.
She's like, "Can I just take it now?"
That's crazy.
It was pretty cool, yeah.
Did you guys see? Apparently, she got the idea for like the 6 times a week SPD thing from a Matt Vina video.
No way.
Oh, I think I did. Yeah,
that's kind of funny.
Yeah, we have to have Matt Vina on. Actually, people have been every time I put up who should we have on, it's Matt Vina.
Oh, really?
We have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, Matt Vina, he's got a pretty big name in powerlifting now. So yeah.
Yeah,
He's so
he's the people's
quiet and
champ.
mysterious, though.
I know. I wonder how the podcast would go. It's like Matt,
Just silent.
so, and he's just like in his corner in his room, just like not saying anything. Now, but we'll have him on soon enough. And so Mally, so you're gonna just do the coaching at Sheffield. You're gonna go to Worlds, and ideally, you're in the top 8 for Flight A. What do you kind of expect from yourself? Like maybe totals, if you want to talk about that, or numbers, or your goals for Worlds.
Can you guys hear me properly, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what my goal for this one is I want to be obviously finish as high as possible on the list. Um, Second thing would be try to create a name for myself, like some sort of a name, where people are like, okay, who is this guy kind of thing? Like maybe do something decent, like be in that conversation of like top 5, top 6 or something like that. But what I really am interested to do is push the Canadian 66 game to like a different level, because I think the 66 game has been lacking in Canada. Even if you look at like the national qualifying totals and stuff like that, if you do the percentage, it's to what the best totals are, it's really low. It's like 535 to qualify for nationals or something like that as a 66 versus like 83 is like 687 and stuff like that. So those are a bit higher. 74 is a bit higher. So, and you can see like if people at the top push, like Blake pushed, now everybody's pushing, right? So if I can push it, then everybody pushes it, and that's fun. That becomes cool. Like like we can all compete. Someone will beat me one day, which is I try not to let that happen, but it'll probably happen. Um, but hopefully it happens at a really ridiculously high number where we're counted in the world, right? Like that would be cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my biggest goal with this Worlds is try to get a number where I'm credible enough in the top 10 and push the 66s in Canada to like a really big level.
And what is the current total record for Canadian 66s?
673.
Okay. And you finished around, what did you finish with at Nats?
662 is I think what I did.
And so you're looking to push that at Worlds, right?
Yeah, we'll try to push that at Worlds. Yeah, numbers wise, I don't know. Obviously, it would be nice to get to my top level of where I was at 74, but we'll see. That's ambitious and being delusion again. But hey, delusion helps, so I might stay with that delusion.
Yeah, you should. It's worked for you. You just
Yeah,
have to stay delusional.
yeah.
You can't give up. And then after Worlds, I mean, you're trying to obviously, like you said, make kind of like a title run and just continue to collect your 66 national titles.
Yeah.
And in the future, like I guess you see those two that you just competed against as your biggest rivals, but also um, there might be Clifton coming back, right? So
Yeah.
you looking forward to possibly battling it out with him?
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I want to push it too, right? Like I want to be the guy who's to beat. I don't want Clifton to come in and be like he's the guy to beat. So
Yeah.
beat Clifton, make him chase me, and then make everyone else chase me as well. That'd be fun. And I think that's what I want to do. So that's the Worlds. That's what I want to do for Worlds because these guys now get like Lou and Carlos and Cliff. They all get a year and a bit for next nationals, right? So they're getting longer than me. So, but I'll get the Worlds experience in there, so I'll have that in my bag compared to them. But Clifton's a high level lifter. He knows when to bring it and when not to bring it. So if he comes to 66, he's definitely someone I can't count out. And then Carlos is just going to keep getting stronger because he's young as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I think the four of you guys could definitely push the 66s. And now, like, because there is a top four, it's like you can't even podium unless you have a big total like in the future. So, like
Yeah.
you said, it's gonna make everyone's level just continue to rise up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very exciting, man. And we wanted to touch upon you and your coaching company. I'm actually rocking the shirt. I don't know if this
Yeah.
is, yeah, I don't know if you guys have more of them or if you sell them, but one of my favorite shirts actually.
Hell yeah. No, we haven't started doing merch yet. We've been focusing on coaching and trying to fill rosters and trying to make sure we're giving a quality coaching out there. So we'll get into merch eventually. But yeah, for sure. Right now we're making sure we're all coaching properly and making a good roster and like making a name for ourselves. But it's been going really good, man. Like the company is good. The people I work with are awesome. I never thought CSF would be where it's at. compared to where we started, because it was just like the small thing. I started in Anytime Fitness in Yellowknife, and now it's like worldwide. So it's pretty cool to see where it's getting.
Mhm. And what year did you start it in? I think it was like 2021.
Yeah, I think around then, 2021 maybe.
Cool, man. And you have the two other coaches on the team. Is it just the two others, Adam and Nick?
Adam, Nick, and David Dan.
Oh,
David is
David.
yeah, David is in there too. So it's three of us, and then Bray is also an owner. Bray and Cordero. And then we started a sister company for Clean Strength Media. So we're trying to do media as well. So do both those things and push it. But yeah, the roster is good. We're probably going to fill more coaches as we get full. So because we kind of try to cap ourselves so we can keep the quality high. So we're
Mhm.
trying to expand a little bit here, which would be fun.
All right. Well, you guys can pick up Mr. Trevor Greenwood. He's offering coaching.
Yo, he's never gonna leave those guys.
Wait, what?
No,
I'm offering
he's
coaching?
offering coaching.
Yo, we need a super coach. That'd be
Holy
kind of sick.
fuck.
Imagine.
I tried to steal Max from you guys, but he wasn't into it.
Yeah, Max and Nick are glued to the hip.
Oh god. He's gotta quit pulling sumo. I hope he listens to this.
Okay, well, I'll go into some of the questions that people had asked on the page when we put up the question and answer poll. And then after that, like Trevor and Kyle, if you guys have any questions that you want to touch on too, just bring them up. But just on the topic of coaching, what makes a client like very coachable? And then to add on to that, like how do you think the average power lifter who wants to be their best self, how can they do that? I think those two can like go in together.
I think what I look for in coachable is someone who wants to push hard. Like that's what I'm looking for. Someone who can listen and not just kind of like only think what they're thinking is right or what they're thinking from like other people or Instagram videos is correct. So those kind of
Mhm.
things, those factors. Um, the main thing I would think is like the ability to never stop learning. Because I think as we get better at powerlifting, there's this nuance of like I'm too good to learn. I don't want to listen to people. So it's if you start pushing people to like that level and they don't have the ability to like listen to you, it's never going to work. But you can see that early on with clients. Like you guys have probably seen that with your clients. Like if you see
Mhm.
people who are not going to listen start at the start, when you get to them to that point, they're never going to listen. So
Yeah.
a balance of like working together, because I like to have my coaching, I like to be very open in communication. I like to listen to what they want. I like to do what they want as well as what I think is right for them. So, but if they're only thinking or listening to other people and themselves and constantly like lost in this sauce of just doing whatever they want, it's never going to work. So that's I think the main thing, because I think that's one thing for me that's been very important as a lifter is never stop learning. From like every time I've moved, like when I went to Adam and trained with Adam, I learned a stupid amount from him. But if I was a cocky lifter who thought I was really good and I thought I was going to win, because I do have that delusion factor, but that delusion factor could have turned into cockiness. And I don't
Mhm.
want to listen to someone like Adam. And then when I moved to Calgary, listening to Nick, like all these things, right? Like if I wasn't able to listen to high level lifters, high level coaches, I would never be able to push myself. So as you get better at the sport, you're gonna have that ego. But if you don't leave the ego to like listen to people who are better or who just know a little bit more, then you're just never going to get to that point. So I think that's what I look for in clients.
Yeah. And I think that's something that you've done really well too, like to your point with Adam and Nick. And I remember before, like we'd always have conversations and you're just very like open to learning. Even like at the state where you're already coaching tons of people, you're still looking to learn. And I think it is super important. And I've also had clients who have been, it's almost like, why would you hire a coach if you're very set in your ways? Like I would
Yeah.
do something and explain it, and it's just like we're completely batting heads here. It just doesn't make sense to them. And it's like you need to be open to listening. And yeah, so
Yeah.
that's something that you definitely do well. And then for that's like also, I guess, your answer as to how can someone become their best self in powerlifting?
Yeah. And I think for that one, it was also like consistency, right? Like I think a lot of lifters, especially younger lifters, there's a lot of distractions. like in life, like school parties, all this shit. I'm not saying don't do any of that, but inconsistencies are probably most people's downfall when it comes to potential. So if people aren't consistent with all the shit that you saw me, like when I wasn't consistent, I got hurt all the time. But it's a clear, evident thing that when you are consistent, when you are doing stuff perfectly and as neurotic as possible, there is something that's going to give. So consistency is, I think, one of the main things when it comes to getting better.
Yep, very real. Trevor, Kyle, do you guys want to throw any other questions in? There's a few more, but just in case anything we touched on before.
Who's your favorite lifter, Bally? Like somebody you look up to?
Myself, no, okay.
I don't want to be
uh,
cocky.
I would
That's
probably say it's probably Adam Jansen. I just love the way he trains. I know because I think it's because I've seen everything he does and how much he puts into it every single day. Even Nick, like I've trained with these guys and they've been at the top of the game in Canada and in Worlds. So I see what these guys do every single day. So not being biased because they're in my team, but I just love seeing them progress because it's very inspiring to me that they like I don't know about I don't know how much I know Nick I'm sorry I don't know how much um like Kyle, do you still work outside because you're full-time powerlifting, right?
Yeah, now I'm only doing online coaching. I was doing
Yeah,
personal
that's
training
what
for a
like
while.
I think that's such a like personally I never had the balls to do that, like just accept it. Like I want to powerlift, I want to give up a possible career outside to be able to give it all and like compete and train and coach. I haven't been able to do that myself. So I look up to guys like Kyle, Adam, and Nick who do it because it's different. Like I think it's a very hard thing to do because everybody in society outside of powerlifting probably looks at them like, what are you doing? Right. But that I look up to that kind of shit more. Like
I think a
than
lot of
people
people
who
though
just
too,
do
it's
it.
not super realistic just because like where the sport's at, like there's just not like I think coaching I think is a great avenue and especially if you love to be a coach. Like I was already doing personal training, but like coaching is really the only avenue that you could do this full time, right? Like most people that are not coaches, like they just have to have another job, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it's a big factor of betting on yourself, right? Like
yeah,
you have to be a good coach because if you're not a good coach, then this sport's very unforgiving with that kind of shit. And then if you're not a good athlete, some people don't think you're not a good coach. So it's a balance of that, right? Like it's difficult and you really have to bet on yourself. And I look up to that kind of shit more than someone who's at the top, like who's doing crazy shit like Austin Perkins or something like that. I look up to stuff like that more because I think it's very difficult to give up and believe in yourself, kind of thing.
just to go all in on something
Yeah,
like powerlifting.
yeah.
Yeah.
My question was when's the 59 kg debut?
Bro, did you guys know there's a 53-kilo weight class for sub juniors?
I
Yeah.
found that out
Yeah.
I didn't
recently,
know that. I
actually.
found out the other day. I'm like, man, I need to do that.
Holy fuck!
I was while we were like joking around here, I was looking up like the best totals in the world for 59. And if you keep just being delusional and maintain your total, you could do it, man.
No, isn't Waskar at like 700
Yeah.
or something crazy?
No, Oscar's only done
No, no.
638.
Oh, true.
Oh, you
You
can
got
make the
that, man.
cut
You
and
got
do
that.
it, dude.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm not.
The only
I'd
one
be
who's
lighter
beat
than my
that is
girlfriend and she'd
Sergey.
leave me, so I can't do that.
Sergey Fedochenko did 670.
Oh,
Oh,
that's crazy.
damn.
And
And
he won
I
like
don't
10
know
times.
if you guys have ever seen him. He's like 4'5".
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
like
kind of like height classes. Like, Mally, how tall are you? Like, you're not gonna be, you'd be really skinny at 59.
I think I'm like 5'7". Sorry, not five. I'm not 5'7". I'm like 5'5", 5'6", or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To be
because
honest, it's not just height though. Like it's also how people are like built. Like when you see like Mally's frame, like I feel like 66 does suit you. You know what I mean? Like versus there's some people that are 5'5" that would never make 66.
Yeah.
Like Gavin is like I'm pretty sure 5'5". Russ is 5'5". But those guys are just like the frame is different, right?
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Mally even like holds it well. Like I think in the warm up room, and I think I said this on the other podcast, or at least to Blake, but I seen you and Blake beside each other, and you're looking like more full and muscular and like more heavy because of your appearance. But like you hold on to the muscle at the weight class, and like I think a lot of people like I said earlier, if I had cut instead of went up after 74, it wouldn't have been it. But yeah, like you
Yeah.
hold the muscle very well. Your
But it was also
insertions are
like,
good
I think
too.
it's also the way the sport's going, which is so interesting to me, because now you get sub juniors powerlifting right away. So they don't have that like weird bodybuilding with your bros kind of era, or like playing sports and just like doing stuff and getting stronger in those things. I think all of us, and even like Perk is an anomaly because he started powerlifting at like 14. But there's people who kind of did that whole bodybuilding, got jacked, like Russ too. Like he's just, the muscle he has on his frame is ridiculous. So like I think people just don't spend time doing that. So maybe it's the 15 years of bodybuilding and then cutting that's kind of helped, because I've stuck with the bodybuilding. I always have done bodybuilding workouts and like pushed hard on accessories. So that's pretty much 15 years of that. So maybe that helps.
Mhm. And before you started doing like bodybuilding, powerlifting, had you played sports, like athletic background? Like what were
Yeah, I
you?
mean, I played sports all in high school a lot, but I played basketball, rugby, cricket, and so I played a lot of sports. But the reason I started bodybuilding was because I was playing basketball and I got like did some crap to my back where I like almost split my discs or did split my discs. And the trainers and the doctors were like, you should start like working out and doing more stuff, or else you're gonna get hurt more. So that's kind of when I was like 14, 15 is when I started like bodybuilding and stuff. So
Oh, damn.
yeah,
Yes, that's a long time of putting on muscle.
yeah.
The other question was, it's actually funny because we touched on both of them, but someone asked, what are your thoughts on Adam Jansen?
No, true. I love the guy. He's like, I love how hard he works. He's obviously in my company, and we joined forces because he had his own coaching company and I had mine, so we kind of brought them together, and it's worked out well. But it just, yeah, he's just a different breed in terms of how hard he can push. And you guys saw, I don't want to talk about his medical issues, but you guys saw what he did at nationals, 797.5, and I think a lot of people would have given up months before than that guy did. So even Nick, like these guys push through shit that I didn't even know humans can do. So like for that national competition, people don't know this, but Adam was sitting at the back after bench press because he was fainting after every attempt, and he was sitting there puking, like projectile vomiting his oatmeal and honey because that's all the guy fucking eats. But he was puking, and then the ref was coming to him and telling him he can't continue because he can't let him do this. Medical staff was on the way, like paramedics were on the way for him, and he just like in his emotions going like, "No, I have to continue. I have to do it. Like this, I have to leave a legacy." And like there's something in his brain that like I've never seen before, and it's just cool that he's like he's part of my team and I get to talk to him every day. But he's got something for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if that guy win worlds one day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's pretty intense, like with his training and stuff, and that performance was crazy. I think
Yeah,
everyone that was there could see.
yeah,
Like even I was competing, so I wasn't really paying attention. But then I remember at deadlift time, like they like carried him back like after his third deadlift, and he was just like, yeah, it wasn't pretty.
yeah.
Yeah. Next question is why are you so small from Eric Willis?
Man, Eric just wants me to be a super so bad, but I look so ugly, so I can't do it.
Is that, did you actually like on that like topic, did you ever consider bulking or was it always cutting? Like that was in your
It
mind?
was for when I was thinking 66, I think I was also thinking 83. I was like, oh, I should go up. But as a 74, it took me so long to become a 75 to like train above my weight class. I was eating like 3,500 calories at that point to try to
Mm.
bulk. And it just, the scale just wasn't going up. And I was just like, this is crazy. I can't do this. This is either where I'm going to train or I'm going to go nuts and get big, bulk, like fat, bulky and get big and just eat McDonald's every day and get to 83. But if I did that, I knew powerlifting was done. Like I was going to come like 12th, 13th because there's guys like Adam in 83. There's guys like you in 83 who are just good. Like they just have potential. And I'm just like, I'm never going to get there. I'm a little bit older than everybody. So I was just like, bulking is not there, but I'll probably bulk again. Like after 83s, sorry, after 66 is done, I'll probably fill back up to 74, maybe 83, and finish open or masters as an 83 or something like that.
Oh man. Yeah, no, that's a good thought. Like I never really thought you were gonna make the cut. I thought eventually you'd go up, especially because I mean I thought you were fine at 74, but I was like Mally looks like I was talking about it, like you hold muscle well. So you look pretty big. And I was like, if he filled out a little more, you could
Yeah.
maybe like have like a huge subtotal. Your deadlift's already good, but obviously 66 was the move.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Maybe like I'm sure my body will eventually tell me to go back up or go up even more. So we'll just listen to my body how long it allows me to do 66 and then go up from there. But yeah, I'll definitely go back up and hopefully I can be a better 74 if I go back to 74 and then smoke everyone there.
Hmm. I believe it. You got to believe it too. And then the
Yeah.
delusion comes and then it's over and you've done it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, there's obviously other things we can touch on. Boys, do you have any other questions from Ali?
I don't think so. Is there anything else you want to talk about, Melly?
No, I think I'm good. I love what you guys are doing. I hope this shit blows up. Red plates is cool. We need someone on the home turf doing something cool. So I think it's cool. Keep going with it.
I was
Thanks,
gonna
buddy.
ask, like, is eventually like the long-term goal to go like CSF like full time kind of thing? And
Yeah, I have an option to go part time with my with pilot gig. So I'd probably switch it up and go part time flying, full time coaching, and try to do both because I do love both. I love coaching, I love flying. So I don't want to quit flying, but I have the ability to possibly go part time and then do that and then do coaching as well. So I'll probably slowly eventually get to that point and do that. But yeah, I want to. Clean strength fitness is definitely something I'm going to keep around for a while.
All right, man. Well, I guess we can wrap it up here. Where can the people find you on Instagram? It's Mallory Produces Lift.
Yeah,
Or
Mally produces Lyft,
okay.
and that's pretty much it. I have a TikTok, but I don't really use it. I don't know how to
I
do
see
it.
you sometimes. Sometimes you
I used
post.
to have a decent TikTok, and then I lost the password, so now I'm just kind of giving up on it.
Yeah, I feel like on that app you had to like blow up a long time ago, and then it's
Yeah,
over.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, and then also CSF. It's CS Clean Strength Fitness on Instagram.
yeah. Clean Strength Fitness on Instagram, Clean Strength Media. If you guys are ever doing comps where you see us doing media, I think we're the best. So buy a package. I think Bray is doing some ridiculously awesome work that hasn't been done before, and our turnaround time is untouchable. So do
Yeah,
it.
Bray is really good.
Yeah.
So I think where are you guys shooting right now? It's more like what area?
Mostly Calgary. We're kind of filming here. We're doing some comps. We're doing a comp in Manitoba soon. Some in Edmonton. So we're gonna try to expand a little bit more. And then eventually try to be the CPU people. But this year we didn't apply, so we will eventually.
I was gonna say
Yeah,
shout out to Bray too for like doing all those videos before Nats because no one had done that before. Like the
Yeah.
where they interviewed like all like the top contenders and did kind of like an edit for them, so that was cool.
Yeah, it was sick. And I think we saw like for like the top guys for like the 93s, the 83s, there was a lot of people posting like around the world and watching. So I think that was pretty cool. Like the you guys, like your weight class, because you guys are pretty much up there with the 93s, the 83s are up there with the world. So I think people are watching, which was cool.
yeah. Some of them I think popped off a little bit. The reels like they got good
Yeah,
traction.
yeah,
So yeah, keep it up, and you guys will just keep evolving that. And yeah, it would be cool if you guys could become the Canadian media team because I think you
yeah.
guys
It
are
would be
good
cool. I mean,
enough.
there's a lot of videographers around the country. We could all work together. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it all comes together.
All right, man. Well, thank you again for coming on. Maybe we'll have you on closer to Worlds or post Worlds, and you can let us know how Sheffield went and how it was handling again. But
Yeah,
best of luck with that, man, and keep in touch.
yeah, dog. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Sweet.
Of course.
Thanks, man.
All right,
Take
buddy.
it easy.
Good
Take
work,
care.
boys.